Hello, we are back. That was a slight technical error at my end, but we're back. So let's get back straight into my game, which was against Tim. And yeah, flew the jet in. First turn, knocked 6 wounds straight off the Onager, which was nice. Though I don't think it's enough to tear it. I think it's 1 wound of tearing it, but put some damage on him. I think that was about it in terms of my shooting. And I shot some, it was that and some scouts. I really had to get some scouts off the tower in the middle to stop Tim scoring points every turn. Because then at least we were both holding one tower and we could score equally. From there, he made a mistake. Tim's relatively new to the game still, and he charged his bike and attack bike unit and his Talon Master. He multi-charged into the Gorkanaut and 25 boys, which is a fight they're never going to win. I interrupted with the boys, killed the Talon Master, the Gorkanaut killed the bikes, and from there I just moved up the board and went from there. Moved up the board and took him off the table. I built points throughout the game on the centre objective and the my own objective, but by the end of the game I controlled all three and tabled him. So got a 20-3 win, which I think put me right at the top of the table after that first game. That was one of the missions where you could score really high if you got board dominance. And unfortunately for me, that meant going into round 2, I was playing the next highest person, which was this twat.
Also, just to interrupt for a sec, hi Rob Rast, thanks for following.
Yes, hi Robrax. I feel like I know who that is, but I'm not sure who that is. Like, I recognise that name and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's one of our Twitter followers. I'm not... Might be wrong. It's probably someone we know. Who knows? Mark, how did your game 2 go?
My game 2 went very well. I very much enjoyed it. It was a very fun game. Taking on some Ultramarines, which is a word bearer player, I love doing. It's absolutely amazing. Based on the fluff, as you'll know, James. Word bearers and Ultramarines really don't like each other. But so Dave was using an all Primaris army. So I believe there was a Redemptor, Captain in Gravis armor, Librarian. I want to say 6 units of 5 Intercessors. Lieutenant, the Ancient. So yeah, it's an army that you don't want to kill but have to kill, which is a very strange predicament to find yourself in. So we were playing on the board that you played on last round, Matt. So it was the board where you want to be high up in the buildings in the corner in the center of the board. Which, wasn't a bad sort of matchup for me, being that I have a lot of infantry, so it was relatively easy to get onto the buildings. But it was another game where I believe I failed to go first. I think this was a recurring theme throughout the tournament. So I was looking at getting shot at by a Primaris army, which is relatively it's not great for an all power armor army. He failed to kill anything in the first turn, which was, I think, down to blind luck more than anything else. So my Hellbrute was still kicking about, my Vindicator was still kicking about, my autocannons were still kicking about, and as anyone will know, autocannons prey on stuff like Primaris Marines. So I believe I used up all of my command points turn 1 to make sure my autocannons were firing missiles at him. First command point went on giving them Marcus Slanesh, so they could fire twice later on that turn. Next command points went on giving him Vet to the Long War. What he'd done first turn was he'd moved his Intercessors onto the... Inceptors. There's too many Scepters in a Primaris army. He moved his Inceptors on top of the building that was worth more points. So my autocannons decided to bully them and make them instantly regret the decision. My Vindicator bullied the Redemptor, which had missed its opportunity to kill it in the first turn. So my Hellbrute and Vindicator ganged up on it and did a lot of wounds. Let's just say that. After that, the game was more or less just move onto the buildings. I had one squad in the building at the back that were just moving up and down levels to try and kill itself. I managed to kill 8 guys out of my own squad, which got me that point by the end of the game. Dave found it particularly difficult to deal with the possessed as well. They'd locked one squad in combat the entire game, I believe. They'd hidden under a landing platform, then crept out a bit like they did at Imps, except it wasn't in a church this time. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and they were absolutely wrecking face. It really made me love my word bearers that little bit more. So it was a win for me round 2. But yeah, we both very much enjoyed that game. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. So round 2 was I had to play some idiot in his orc army.
Woo! Some idiot with his orc army that deployed first, and for the second game of the tournament, went first, if I remember correctly. I did.
Did you go first?
I did. No, I definitely did. You tried to seize and failed. I went first, but I didn't do a lot. I think I killed.
Yeah.
I think I might have killed a sentinel.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I think I might have wounded a sentinel. Orc players. Yeah. Nothing wrong with orc players, Tom.
It was.
Just get ready for the codex.
Yeah, that game. We were playing treasure hunt, so you had to try and find the relics. And one of the things that, like I was saying earlier, where we come back to how there's tactics and how to play that, Matt immediately searched the 3 buildings that he could get to, which isn't a great plan because it meant that he didn't find it, and then the 3 buildings that I was stood next to, one of them was guaranteed to have it in. So I searched the other 2, and then searched the one that I wanted to have the relic in, and just stood there with the relic. But yeah, I ambushed, killed a mob of boys. My Steelers died in return the following turn or the turn after. And basically, me and Matt just kicked 7 bells out of each other for
I think we just
6 turns.
I think after your Steelers had gone, the Steelers traded for boys. The Gorkanaut and Aberrants and Acolytes took each other out. And it was just left like a couple of units. You had more models left, but they were infantry. They were just guard. By the end of the game, it was just guard.
Yeah, I had guardsmen, 1 magus, and an icon ward left, and you had the jet, some flash gits, your war boss, and what's his face, Badrock.
Yeah, and both Deathcopter. No, 1 Deathcopter.
One Deathcopter.
One Deathcopter.
But yeah,
and the plane. The plane.
Matt managed to get me off the relic with some absolutely Hail Mary orc shooting when every single thing that needed to hit did.
Yep.
And then I want to know what was going through your head, because you essentially handed me the victory.
What the plan was, I don't know. Essentially what happened was, with the relic gone, neither of us could contend the relic. The relic was worth 4 victory points at the end of the game. Other than that, it was just line breaker and scoring buildings.
Yeah.
I had line breaker. I had 1 building, but I also had 2 other buildings. One of them was contested by James, and effectively he was going to outnumber me on that building, so he was going to control it. So what I did was I moved off one of my other buildings, because at that point, even with him controlling that building, we were drawing. I moved off one of my buildings to shoot the models that were threatening the building that I was already at the point of losing. Which was pointless. I essentially cost myself a victory point, and instead of drawing, I lost.
Yeah, it ended up 3-2. Had the game continued, it comes back into my favour, because I could have got units on the relic, at which point it's 7-3 or something.
Yep.
But yeah, it was going to be a 2-all draw. 3-all draw, sorry.
Yep.
And then, you walked off to shoot at me.
Yep.
And it finished 3-2.
I think my logic in my head was, I can walk off, shoot you, and kill some models on that building, so my orcs should recapture that building, which would have given me the win, because it had been 3-2. But the chance of me actually doing that and you not being able to get your unit there was very slim. So it was just a really stupid mistake. That combined with the first thing with searching the buildings was just inexperience with the mission and not really thinking about it. And then that at the end of the game, it was just it was so tight in terms of I was killing stuff at the end that got you off the relic, and then Just doing that was just silly. It was just a silly mistake.
We also seemed to sort of reverse on the dice because the first couple of turns you just couldn't kill me.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Primus in combat with 20 boys and you just couldn't get rid of him. He survived like 2 rounds of combat.
Yep.
But then the second half, I opened fire with, I think, 50 guardsmen more or less at about 8 boys, and I think I killed 2 of them.
Yep, sounds legit.
It was a bizarre game. But it was a lot of fun. We both had a good time. When me and Matt play, we like to shout and...
Yeah, we normally get a bit salty when we play each other, but I think we were quite restrained and went all right.
When you say a bit salty as well, I think we're both having a lot of fun with it. We sound extremely salty to a lot of passers.
Yeah, there was a point where there was I think there was like a lady and a child near us, and I felt I had to be like, say like impartially, like not to her, but just say like, oh, I think people would probably think we don't like each other, like the way the language of the game was taking course. Yeah, I get salty all the time. I'm like fish and chips. I'm covered in salt. Maybe when I'm losing, probably when I'm winning as well. To be fair,
it's an experience watching me and Matt play. One that you guys will hopefully get on stream soon. But
yeah, we have to like do something with stream. We have to get Mark to write our army lists or something.
Do something more restrained.
Just play a different game, like play Adeptus Titanicus when that's out, or play some Fallout.
Yeah, we are genuinely both having a lot of fun, but we do like to give each other a bit of shit while we're doing it.
Yep. Usually because you're mortal wounding and stuff.
After round 2, I went through
Twitch chat army lists.
Let's do that. That'd be fun.
That's legit.
Yeah, so I went 3-2 in that game, so it's my win. And she put me on 2-0. Matt on 1-1, and Mark on 1-1 at this point.
Interesting.
Me and Matt were talking during the breaks between rounds, and we'd figured something out, hadn't we, Matt?
Yeah, you'd been on the Gravity board, which is a high-scoring board, game 2.
Yeah.
And I was on that game 1, and I'd scored 2 points in my second game.
Yeah.
And I think you'd scored 4 in your first game, and
4 in my first game. Yeah.
18 in your second game, which surprisingly left us both on 22.
It did.
And we were quite excited at that point, because the concept of playing each other was very... I mean, we were in a funny mood. We'd been having a bit of a sing-song in game 2 when we played other people. Yep. We were quite excited by the prospect of playing each other. It's not like... The thing is, it's not like we'd gone to a 2-day event and you were playing your friend in round 4 or 5, and you're trying to get a decent result, or you're trying to get a prize place. And, well. Yeah, it was a 10-man event. We knew everyone there. I think even Chris, who was one of the guys who wasn't local, who'd come... I think he came to our GT last year and stuff like that. So yeah, the round pairings went up.
Yeah, and for me, I was playing on table 1 against Chris, who came to our last GT. And his very interesting Nurgle list, which had, I think, 56 Nurglings in it.
Had a lot of Nurglings.
Yeah, it was. I didn't kill them all, shockingly.
Funnily enough, Chris put this list in the Soft Lads list group before London GT, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So he put this up just as a list because he thought taking that many Nurglings would be hilarious. And then that list did alright at London GT.
Yeah, and to be fair, I should clarify, having played the All Nurgling list, it was hilarious. It was really funny to play against. I imagine if you're playing at London in a highly competitive event, based a lot more around conventional scoring than this, it was probably less fun. But yeah, me and Chris played, and we drew the table where you had to hold the high ground, which was immediately a kick in the teeth for Chris because Nurglings can't climb buildings. So he had 5 Nurgle characters and 30 Plague Bearers, 3 units of 10, who could actually try and hold the objectives. Other than that, he just had to swarm the board and try and kick hell out of me. But we'll talk about Matt and Mark's pairing as well before we get into the games.
Spoilers.
Yeah, but you know, our game pretty much the standard rules of 40k went out the window during deployment, and that me and Matt both figured out who had the most drops, and then just deployed our armies and give Matt the +1 to go first.
Yeah,
that was it. We also we'd found a way to bypass our saltiness towards each other by just insulting James as he tried to play Chris.
And he was on the table next to us, so it seemed the natural thing to do. direct your hit at someone else, and you and your opponent can just. It's like a different bonding experience. You're playing a game, but you're joined not just in the gameplay, but in the savagery. Yeah, it just made a lot of sense.
It has become a thing whenever I'm playing now, and Matt and Mark are around. They seem to be less concerned about what's actually going on in their game and more concerned about distracting me as much as possible.
Yeah.
There is a game I enjoy more than 40k, and that is James has magnetised his entire Tyranids army so that it sticks to really useful boxes so he can transport it. So that means you can magnetise his entire army to whatever magnetisable surface there is.
Spoon.
So, yeah, I'd stuck one of his Gene Stealers to a spoon once.
The fridge.
Put some Termagants on a fridge, you know.
I have a different type of game I like to play with James, and that is James uses exactly 36 purple dice. So James knows that when he picks all the dice up on the board, he has 36. This is a tactic to play him, actually. So if you hide them when you're playing him, he can't roll as many as he thinks he's rolling. So when he picks those dice up, he goes, oh, I've got 36 dice here. I need 30 for my Gene Stealer attacks. I'll take out 6. Now, if you're not playing James, and you can steal those purple dice, you can help his opponent subtly. And then what you do is you let him know you've got 1, and you give him that one back, but don't let him know about the rest. These are the games you play when you don't have a game arranged at club and you've got to be there for 4 hours manning the door.
But this has essentially led to me now slow playing because I have to count all my dice every time.
That's why.
Yes, Dave. Dave knows the theme of
the MMX theme tune.
Yeah, the MMX theme tune. Zombie.
Yep. So, are you going first with your game, or do you want us to go first?
Go on, you go ahead with your games.
Yeah, so we basically just, like as Mark said, we worked out that I was going first. I was getting +1 to go first. And so we just deployed. And I didn't really look at his army while I was deploying, and then I kind of looked up and saw 30 Bolter Marines.
Marquard's Crimson Horde.
And then some Terminators and everything else looking at my army. Kind of didn't know what the hell was going to happen there for a bit. But thought, nah, let's do this. I had my Choke Boys mob behind a rock. They were gonna do big. I believed. I played the orc mentality. I just believed. So the mission we had was there's brothel in the middle of the board. You've got to get there, get in touch with it. The hookers come out. They bounce all over the board. They go through units. But if you touch them at the end of your movement phase, you get a point for them. Now, I couldn't get there turn 1. My infantry out fast enough for my orcs. I went first. I moved forward. The truck comes round the rock, sees the Vindicator, goes, no, I'm the tank here, boy. 3 damage straight to that Vindicator. Who's playing this game? Who's playing this game? The plane comes. The anti-tank Wazbomb blaster jet flies over, sees that Vindicator. He's like, nah, son, nah, I'm the tank here. I'm pretty sure, did I kill that thing turn 1?
No, the Vindicator was still kicking about, but by this point you tuned it to the point where it was a
fucking I think it was on I think it was on 1 wound or 2. I think that was on 1 wound. If I remember correctly,
trundle around 4 inches.
If I remember right, that was on 1 wound, and then I took the Contemptor down to 1 wound.
Yeah. They were both knackered
with the Gorkanaut shooting. It was amazing. Yeah. I was worried because it was excellent. That's some incredible spelling there. I'm assuming. No. The name for Little Matt is Headlopper's Killchopper, which is a great name for a relic. Yeah, Mark was using because he's using his old Heresy army as a Chaos army. In my head, I was convinced the Contemptor was a Contemptor, not a Hellbrute, which it actually was. So I was absolutely bricking it. That this, I got a Gorkanaut there. I knew in combat I was going to screw it. I don't have any vulnerable save, so it is scary to me. I had a multi-melter on. Yeah. So no, that went down as well. And then it was just a fight in the middle. Mark got into the... Sorry, I should let you talk, Mark. But Mark got into the brothel, let those holes out, and... I mean, they thought the Chaos Marines were normal Marines, obviously, because they just ran straight into his army. One ran the length of the board.
One wasn't playing the game at all.
No, one spent 3 turns moving into the corner of the board, got about 2 inches from the corner where we went, and then started moving down the edge of the board. The other two were like, nah, getting away from these orcs fellas. ran straight into the middle of Mark's army and then bounced through it for 2 turns. So I did what any orc did and had to go through it after him.
Yeah. Our game could be described as a statistical anomaly, I believe, because those orcs were shooting the living fuck out of my Marines.
Yep.
It was absolutely savage. I was like, I saw you set up. I was like, you know what? I think I can probably handle this. And the way the first turn was going, I was like, all right, I wasn't expecting that. I'll give you that, Matt. That wasn't a bad shooting phase. But all the prostitutes are in my line, so it's like I'm blazing ahead on victory points.
Yep.
And you just kept shooting me and shooting me.
Yeah, and hitting.
The combat was not. I think in terms of actual like looking at it, I'd say our combat was more 50-50.
Yeah.
Like neither of us were particularly standing out in combat, but you.
Yeah, I was getting enough wounds off the Marines to kill some Marines. You were doing a lot of bolter damage to my units and taking them down. But the Gorkanaut, because the Gorkanaut got through when the Hellbrute exploded, it mortal wounded the guy behind it down to 1 wound, so he was easy to kill. And the Gorkanaut just came round there, and the Deathcopters came on the back, got straight into your autocannons.
Yeah.
And as we were going through the game, I was like, right, come on. What did I try doing? I think I tried shooting the last guy with a Deathcopter. It didn't work.
Yeah.
I had to charge him with a Deathcopter. Let the blades do
there was
justice.
one standout moment where I sort of. Well, there was two. There was 2 moments where I may have shat bricks. The first one was where your flash kits decided they were going to absolutely ruin my unit of possessed.
And me having 8 command points and not really like it didn't really come down to needing them for the morale because I had the second unit of orcs and that was fine. And then after that he either wiped them out or it wasn't worth passing. There was no need for it. It wasn't like a normal conventional mission. So I shot those flash kits and I thought I'm going to use the Mordaka or the Daka stratagem. I can't even remember what it's called. I haven't got a codex yet. Let's do that. Let's roll those 6s. Those 15 shots from those flash kits, that turned into 19 hits. They were accurate. That was some strong shooting there. Flash kit strength 5, -2 to your armor save. They all wreck Marines, and they did.
Yeah, but in the first turn in your first shooting phase, I believe I'd settled my possessed. I was like, these guys will be all right. You put 6 wounds onto him at -1 AP. I was like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
I failed 3. That's a dead possessed. 6 failed saves, 3 dead possessed, and I'm like, oh no, that's my best unit. That's my crutch right there.
This is my soft lad's crutch.
Yeah,
this is what I snuck through.
Decimated. So yeah, that game ended with me. I was ahead on victory points. I was like, right, if you can't table me, there's a good chance I win this game. But that's not how it went. I struggled to do any wounds to your Deathcopter. In fact, I didn't. It locked a unit in combat and just started picking it away, turn by turn, until there was only my 2 characters left. And at that point, it was just I can't even remember what killed them in the end. I think it might have been the flash kits, to be totally honest. I think they were your standout unit in that game.
I think the Gorkanaut had a go on one. The Badrook had a go on another, and then the last autocannon died. At that point, I wasn't going to beat Mark on victory points. So tabling him, basically, you get 1 more point than he had. I'd have picked up a few. If I'd left him alive, I could have chased the prostitutes down and beat him like that. But because of the randomness, like I could have got the brothel, and I think that was worth 4 victory points. But because of the way they run and they're random, you can't control them. They just weren't coming towards you. I had no options to score points other than to try and table marks. It finished 6-5. I mean, really, we just had a game. It was a really fun game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like I'd completely forgotten that we were playing a tournament. Because thinking about it, I should have left that one character alive, and tried beefing up the score, but it wouldn't have made a difference unless I got past your score or let you score more, which would have helped us both. But we just played a game.
Yeah.
So it finished 6-5.
Yeah.
James
did look like you guys were having a lot of fun. My game was a bit more. I had to play it really, really tactically because there's no way I'm walking into 56 Nurglings and not dying. Because I tried that turn 1. I ran 14 Gene Stealers and 4 Aberrants.
What's
Thanks,
up?
Matt. Thanks for coming to the chat. Yeah, I ran 14 Gene Stealers and 4 Aberrants straight into a bunch of Gene Stealers.
Keep talking. Don't read the chat, James.
And they killed some Nurglings and died horribly. So what I did was put all my guard on the first and second floor of buildings, completely block out the floors so that no one could come into them, and then ambush into my opponent's deployment zone and take over his building as well. My warlord actually stood in my opponent's deployment zone, having ambushed into there on the top floor, waving his flag, doing absolutely nothing all game, except for scoring that 1 point for being on the top floor. And the game basically devolved into, could Chris smite a hole in my guardsman so that he could charge up the building? Which the answer was no. So I killed like 52 Nurgling bases. I tell you what, it's never been it's never been more effective to have a lasgun and frag grenades than when you're trying to shoot 52 Nurgling. Actually wound them on trees. So I was firing a ton of shots, and essentially the game was Chris surrounding his characters, trying to shoot me off, trying to smite me off buildings, and me just blowing holes in Nurglings. But it takes so long. So the game played out. Chris had a couple of opportunities to try and get up the building,